Hi skiers, I'm Jeff from Skiessentials.com. Welcome to episode 33 of our Top 5 Fridays weekly ski industry news videos. As you probably have noticed already, there's a table full of bindings next to me. There's actually also a table full of bindings to my left too. That's because we've been working on our first ever binding comparison. It's something that you guys have been asking for and something that we've wanted to do for a while. We were hoping to have it up yesterday. It's taking a little longer than I expected, but we will have it up on Monday of next week. So keep an eye out for that. We will be talking about all these bindings next to me, plus a bunch that are a little bit out of the frame over there and some over here. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. It should be pretty fun. There's a lot of good bindings here, so some cool stuff to talk about for sure. And then in other updates, there's only a few more days to buy raffle tickets in our local youth ski program fundraiser. We will be drawing the winners on Wednesday of next week, the 23rd. So pick up a raffle ticket if you still want to, because you only have a few more days to be able that you can do so. And then we're about halfway through the entry period of our Fisher Ski Happy contest. So enter some photos in that contest. If you have some, you can go back to last year and pull photos from last year. We've even had like some kind of throwback, like really old photos actually be in the running for overall winner before. So don't hesitate to like go even further back and show us some, old kind of historic classic photos. We love seeing that stuff. And with that, I think we can get straight into the news. Pretty light week for news this week, so I think we will get through it pretty quickly. First up, we have our FIS World Cup updates, as we often do. And boy, it was a good one. We talked about it last week that there were a couple women's giant slalom races in France. Hopefully you guys got to watch some of those races. They were really, really good. Mikaela Schifrin in particular, she took fourth in the Saturday race and then took home the win on Sunday. If you haven't seen the race or if you haven't seen Mikaela's run, you can watch it. There's a couple different YouTube videos where you can watch her run. She pretty much put a whole second on the field, a little less than a full second. Really good skiing from Mikaela. It was really pretty engaging to watch, in my opinion. She was exceptionally emotional, as I'm sure you would understand. But yeah, really cool to see her back on top of the podium. And I thought she skied better than anybody else in the field. I mean, obviously she won that race by a significant margin, but it looked to me that she was still holding back a little bit. I think there's more in the tank there for when she's feeling a little bit more comfortable and back to peak form. So certainly will be exciting to watch for the rest of the season. I didn't expect this win to come as soon as it did, especially on the giant slalom side. So yeah, really cool. And then we have some men's updates too. We had a Super G race and a downhill race. Travis Ganong, he finished in fourth on Saturday, just 0.22 seconds out of third. So really, really good finish for him. And then on Sunday in the downhill race, Ryan Cochran-Siegel took 13th, which is very respectable. Then we had Travis in 23rd and Bryce Bennett in a tie for 24th. So some men picking up some World Cup points, which is pretty cool to see. That's pretty strong showing on the men's side. So yeah, the season's really kind of heating up. It's been fun to watch. So if you haven't seen Mikaela's run, go find that video. I'll try and leave a link in the description to this video. And then number two, if you remember last week, number two is pretty much always going to be dedicated to some kind of COVID news. Luckily, I suppose, we didn't get any major updates over the past week. No significant closures or anything like that. Pretty much everything that we talked about last week is carrying forward. No changes. We did get a really interesting article from Bloomberg that was kind of highlighting the varying challenges for different resorts. So I would definitely encourage you to go read that, especially if you're interested in this kind of stuff. Some of the stats that they had in that article, they were quoting that Aspen, or resorts like Aspen and Vail, are expected to lose 80% of their international business, which I thought was interesting. I actually thought it would have been higher than 80%. So yeah, interesting to me that they are still retaining 20% of their international business. I to be honest, don't really know how that works, or how that's working. But yeah, they're basically just highlighting the challenges for different resorts in this article. And for big places like that, international tourism is a significant, a significant source of revenue. And then they also talked about some smaller resorts too that don't necessarily have that international travel issue. They highlighted Nub's Knob in Michigan and kind of showed that they are, not that places like Aspen and Vail aren't, but that they are really focused on just keeping their guests and their staff as safe as possible, because that would potentially be the biggest effect on potential loss of revenue is if they had some outbreaks at their mountain. So something that they highlighted that I thought was cool is that when they have overnight guests, they're really reaching out to those guests and encouraging them to use their rooms as kind of private lodges. And then we also have a pretty interesting dynamic in Tahoe right now. As we talked about last week, California kind of closed Tahoe, at least to overnight visitors. But Nevada, which Tahoe is pretty much split between California and Nevada is still open to overnight guests. So an interesting dynamic there. This article from Bloomberg did a good job kind of going through different stuff like that. So take a look at it if you want to read through it. The silver lining for all this stuff is pass sales are pretty much up across the board, both for large resorts like Aspen and Vail and for smaller resorts like Nub's Knob. So pretty interesting stuff. As always, we will keep our eyes and ears peeled on whatever COVID updates we get. Third topic of the week. This is a stat that really caught our attention. In Colorado this past week, there were 74 human triggered avalanches. We talked about this going into the season, that there was an expected surge of backcountry users. And this stat kind of confirms that in a way, and also really take it as a reminder to do your homework, do avalanche training, do safety courses, and really, make a plan and stay as safe as you can out in the backcountry. My esteemed colleague, Matt, he put together a selection of different resources that you can use, a good place to start. So I will put those in the description to this video as well. But yeah, 74 human-triggered avalanches in Colorado in the past week, which is quite a lot. And then finally, we have a pretty cool article from Forbes that's highlighting Alex Hall. We've talked about Alex Hall on Top 5 Fridays before. I don't even think it's fair to call him an up-and-coming skier anymore. I think he has established some significant dominance, so to speak, on the free ski park side of skiing. He's basically racking up X Games medals and other medals. So this article from Forbes is pretty cool, just in the general sense that they don't often, a big publication like that doesn't often highlight somebody like Alex Hall. And it kind of points out the financial challenges for somebody in his position, and specifically that there's not as much merchandise to financially support skiers when you compare it to, athletes in the NBA and the NFL. Obviously, especially here in the United States, there's way more money in those organizations than in skiing, or at least in professional skiing. So that's part of it too. But this article kind of highlights that, there aren't you're not going out and buying a jersey of your favorite skier, so to speak. They also highlighted that Spyder has kind of stepped up and given Alex Hall a signature goggle. And yeah, I'd really encourage you to read this article. Forbes, as always, does a really good job on the kind of business product side of things. So if you're interested in that side of the ski industry and kind of how it works, I definitely encourage you to read this article from Forbes. And that's basically it for news. Like I said, pretty quick week. Lastly, as always, we have our edits of the week. First up, we have Tilted Perspectives from Bobby Brown. Another just really, really good short film from Bobby Brown. Pretty much anything that Bobby Brown puts out is really good. Really good skiing, really good cinematography, just overall really, really good. And then we also get episode 18 from the guys over at Real Ski Fee. As usual, it's as entertaining as ever. These guys are incredibly creative and incredibly talented, and you put those things together and we get some really, really entertaining content from them. And then we have Joint Efforts episode 7 from Armada, which highlights 3 athletes, all female athletes, on a trip to Retallick in British Columbia. Really good skiing. You know, they talked about how like that's pretty much an iconic place. You see it in all the ski movies. And then a less iconic place in our 4th edit of the week. This is a short film about 15 minutes long called The Best Skier You Have Never Heard Of from Matchstick Productions. Big player in ski movie production. So you know it's going to be high quality cinematography and production value. And they highlight Mount Cain, which looks like a really, really great place to ski. So if you like that kind of stuff, the smaller mountains that kind of fly under the radar, definitely take a look at this. And even if you don't like that stuff, I would encourage you to take the time and watch it because it's pretty darn good. And yeah, with that said, we are heading up to the mountain right now to test some skis with Fisher. If I can, I'll try and throw a little teaser in there, but I don't know if they want us showing the skis yet. And then after that, I'll get this video up as soon as I can. Hope you're all getting on snow. Hopefully everybody's staying healthy and happy and all that good stuff. As always, you know, reach out if you have any questions for us about product or gear or anything like that. Holiday shopping is probably coming to an end for most of you. But if you need a last minute holiday item, just, you know, give us a call and let us know. So we'll see you guys out there on the slopes and have a great weekend.